This is a joint of the average American senior experiencing pain, stiffness, swelling, and poor mobility. And this is a joint of the average senior from the tiny remote village of Yuzurihara in the mountains of Japan, who is experiencing no pain, no stiffness or swelling, and the comfortable mobile joints of a teenager. Now look closer. Can you see the difference? The average American senior's joint is pretty much bone on bone, right? But the average senior in Yuzurihara is enjoying a wide and healthy joint space. But while this joint space may look empty, according to the latest Harvard research, it's what's inside this joint space that has allowed the villagers of Yuzurihara to become practically immune to joint pain, even into their 80s and 90s. And no, I'm not talking about cartilage. Instead, it's a gloopy liquid that nourishes and protects the cartilage of these villagers, which, thanks to one special food in their diet, their joint space is uniquely rich in. Scientists have dubbed this liquid joint jello, and joint health researchers are now calling it the guardian of your joints and key arthroprotective agent. Having healthy and plentiful joint jello is the reason the knees and hips of these Yuzuriharan seniors continue to bounce and glide in comfort, allowing them to squat, twist, and bend for up to 8 hours a day to farm their rice crops. It's why their backs, shoulders, and elbows are able to flex and rotate with ease, so they can plow their fields without the help of modern machinery. And it's why their wrists and fingers enjoy the agility and grip strength of those decades younger, meaning they can continue to harvest their fruit, vegetables, and herbs by hand. More and more experts now agree that your joint jello holds the key to youthful joint function as you age. Why? Well, for decades, doctors and the mainstream media have been telling you that age-related joint pain is caused by wear and tear of the cartilage, which results in cartilage loss, followed by bone-on-bone grinding and subsequent inflammation, pain, and stiffness. And while it's partially true that cartilage loss leads to joint pain, this breakthrough Harvard research reveals that the loss of your cartilage actually has nothing to do with wear and tear at all. Instead, it's caused by declining levels of your protective joint jello over time. And it's this that has caused your cartilage to dehydrate, starve, and crumble away, leading to agonizing bone-on-bone grinding, inflammation, stiffness and swelling that makes it difficult to get in and out of a chair, climb stairs, or even open a pickle jar, making you feel old before your time and feeling like a prisoner trapped inside your own body. In short, the continued loss of your protective joint jello, which research shows began in your 30s, has robbed your cartilage of its natural protection, caused rampant inflammation, and sent your joints into a death spiral. But here's the good news. In just a moment, I'm going to share a simple 10-second trick used every day by the seniors of Yuzurihara that replenishes their joint jello and keeps their cartilage and joints lubricated, nourished, and healthy long into old age. This simple joint jello trick has already helped thousands of U.S. seniors to reclaim the joint comfort of their 20s and 30s, return to their favorite activities and hobbies, spend real quality time with their children and grandchildren, transform their relationship with their partner, regain their confidence and independence, and get back to living their best lives full of freedom and renewed hope for the future. This Harvard-backed joint health discovery is unlike anything you've seen before. It has nothing to do with painful injections, side effect-ridden prescription meds, or hyped-up supplements like glucosamine or chondroitin, which studies show do little more than drain your bank account. And the best part is, you don't need to travel to Yuzurihara, Japan to experience its benefits. In fact, you can start using this 10-second joint jello trick from the comfort of your own home, starting today. Just like these men and women who found this presentation before you and are now enjoying phenomenal and truly life-changing results for themselves.
I am in so much less pain than I was. I'm able to play my guitar again and worship God the way I'm supposed to. And I just laid 3 rooms of tile in my house that I didn't think I would be able to. The turnaround has been quite remarkable.
I can move better, I have less pain, I'm more flexible, and I am not looking at bone on bone at all.
I have less pain now, and in fact, go on long walks and swim a half an hour a day that I couldn't do before without being in pain.
I can now do chores around the house outside in the garden. And now I can enjoy walks around the neighborhood without being in pain. The greatest thing you can imagine to use. It'll take the pain away.
Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Wise. And if you're experiencing pain, stiffness, or swelling in your knees, hips, back, shoulders, elbows, wrists, fingers, or any other joint, then I urge you to put any plans you have on hold for the next few minutes, because I am about to reveal the Harvard discovery turning joint health research on its head. In just a moment, I'm going to show you the simple 10-second trick that the villagers of Uziri do every day that replenishes their joint jello, so their cartilage tissue remains lubricated, nourished, and healthy, and their joints comfortable, flexible, and bouncy long into old age. The shocking truth about glucosamine and chondroitin, and why you should never take these joint health ingredients ever again. Why taking this popular joint pain pill for just 1 week could increase your risk of a heart attack by a whopping 50%, according to a report in the British Medical Journal. And why a recent Harvard study of 2,000 ancient skeletons has changed everything we thought we knew about age-related joint decay, and has big pharma fat cats hopping mad. In the next few minutes, you're going to be blessed with a science-backed solution for regaining the joys of comfortable, flexible, and pain-free joints. And it can work for anyone, whether you're male or female, 39 or 99, experiencing mild, moderate, or severe pain, and struggling with knees, hips, ankles, back, neck, shoulders, elbows, wrists, or fingers. Even better, the results I've seen in my patients have been both fast and long-lasting. Hello, like I said, my name is Dr. Mark Wise. I'm an award-winning physician, medical consultant, and author. I completed my medical school and postgraduate training at the University of Kansas School of Medicine. In the years that followed, I worked as a primary care and emergency physician at a rural hospital in Kentucky, where I also served as chief of staff. I later served my country as a civilian physician for the U.S. Army, at the Wounded Warrior Clinic at Fort Knox, Kentucky, as a general medical officer at Fort Riley, Kansas, and as the lead primary care physician for the Army's Respect Mill PTSD and Depression Screening Program located at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. Today I'm the Medical Research Director at Biodynamics, where I investigate and share innovative health solutions that are found in nature and backed by real research. You see, after decades treating both brave veterans and everyday Americans, I've seen firsthand what joint problems can do to people's quality of life and their mental health. And I quickly came to realize that in the majority of cases, side effect-ridden pain pills are not the answer. They're often little more than a Band-Aid and do nothing to address the actual issue at its root, which is why the current solutions just aren't working. And why, according to the CDC's latest research, joint issues are on the rise. So, what exactly is this newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain that's affecting the lives of millions of American seniors? Well, my quest to find this out began when an old friend of mine came to me for help. Sarah is 67 years old and from Arizona, and was at rock bottom when we met, breaking down in tears as she told me her story. At first, Sarah said, the pain and stiffness came on slowly. It began in her mid-40s when she knelt down on the floor one day to change her grandson's diaper, and then as she tried to stand up, her knees felt stiff, and it took her a few seconds to straighten her legs. Like most people who've been through the joint pain journey, Sarah didn't think much of it at first. But as the years rolled by, her knees became stiffer and more painful, making it harder to enjoy simple pleasures like tending to the flowers in her backyard or playing with her grandchildren. By her early 50s, whenever she knelt down to play board games with her grandkids, her knees would crunch and grind like a sock full of broken glass. She hated the look of pity on their little faces when they saw her grimace like a fragile old-timer. Before long, the pain and stiffness began to spread like wildfire. First to her left hip, then to her right, making it difficult to walk up and down the stairs, get in and out of the car, or be intimate with her husband. It made Sarah feel 30 years older, like she was destined for a stair lift, or worse, a wheelchair. What really frightened Sarah was when the pain began spreading in her wrists and fingers in her late 50s. For almost a decade, Sarah had been running her own home business, baking wedding cakes. But now she was struggling to grip the whisk or hold heavy baking trays. And her fingers and wrists flared up so regularly that decorating the cakes now took much longer than normal and left her in agony. Of course, Sarah's doctor blamed wear and tear and said it was to be expected at her age. To help with the pain, he recommended a joint supplement consisting of glucosamine and chondroitin. These are among the most popular joint health ingredients on the market. Yet Sarah experienced no improvement. That surprised me, because they've been around for years and are supposed to be the building blocks of cartilage. But I soon found that this was a case of old habits dying hard. Countless studies now show that glucosamine and chondroitin are ineffective against joint pain. According to Dr. Antonios Alaprantis, director of the Osteoarthritis Center at Harvard-affiliated Brigham and Women's Hospital, glucosamine and chondroitin have now been debunked as a means for supporting joint health. While Dr. Robert Schmerling, associate professor of medicine at Harvard-affiliated Beth Israel Deaconess Medical Center, said, "There's been no convincing evidence that these supplements repair cartilage or change long-term outcomes. In fact, in a 2-year study of 572 patients costing over $12 million, supplementing with glucosamine and chondroitin was found to produce no benefits in pain reduction, joint function, or slowing the loss of cartilage when compared to a placebo. And that's because, as I later discovered, these ingredients do nothing to address the newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain, the continued loss of your protective joint jello, which means the cartilage still isn't receiving the lubrication, nourishment, and support it needs to function, recover, and survive. Of course, to help her continue working, Sarah was prescribed anti-inflammatories like Motrin, Advil, and Aleve. Unfortunately, these pills led to a spike in blood pressure and an irregular heartbeat that almost put her in the hospital. That's not surprising, because a recent study in the British Medical Journal found that just 1 week of these pills can increase the risk of cardiac arrest by up to 50%, not to mention other potential side effects that include gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney damage, stroke, hearing loss, and breathing difficulties, to name just a few. Unable to deal with the pain, and with traditional solutions failing to work, Sarah was forced to quit baking and abandon her business, leaving her depressed and feeling worthless. Joint pain had robbed her of her business, her identity, and her independence, and in doing so, had driven a wedge between Sarah and her husband Jack, because she could no longer bring in money or do as many chores around the house. These things led to resentment from Jack and heated arguments about her not contributing enough and that she was exaggerating the pain. It's safe to say that when I met up with Sarah that day, she was feeling about as low as it gets, and she was only 67 years old. To me, she seemed 20 years older than that, and Sarah was the first to admit it. She hobbled into my office, gripping a cane in her stiff, claw-like fingers, and said she felt like a fragile glass statue that could break at any moment. Her business had crumbled, her marriage was on the rocks, and she didn't know how much longer she could go on living in pain like a prisoner trapped inside her own failing body. I've got to admit, I was shocked at the level of despair that my old friend was in. And as a physician and someone in a position to help, I felt duty-bound to do everything I could to get to the bottom of what was happening. So I quickly set about my research. The first thing that struck me about Sarah's story was how little sense the wear and tear theory made in her situation. She'd been a clerk for an insurance firm for 20 years before starting her wedding cake business. She sat in an office chair, and she'd never played sport in her life, yet the cartilage in her knees and hips had broken down badly. Sure, if she'd been a runner or a cyclist, maybe I might have had some time for the wear and tear theory, but it just did not make sense to me. Still, everywhere I looked, this theory was all I saw. It states that age-related joint pain is caused by the wearing away over time of the cartilage between the joints, which is then followed by inflammation leading to pain, stiffness, and swelling of the joint tissue. Now, decades of studies have proven beyond doubt that age-related joint pain is caused by cartilage breakdown and subsequent inflammation. But it was becoming clear to me that in Sarah's case, her cartilage hadn't broken down because of natural wear and tear. Something else was going on. After all, by the logic of the wear and tear theory, Sarah's hips and knees at least should have been as smooth, flexible, and bouncy as that of a teenager. So I did some digging. And that's when I came across a breakthrough Ivy League study that would change everything. For more than a year, Dr. Ian Wallace of Harvard University traveled the country analyzing the knee joints of thousands of ancient skeletons, some as old as 6,000 years. His theory, based on years of conventional wisdom, was that these hunter-gatherer skeletons would show significant signs of wear and tear. After all, our ancient ancestors did not have cars or comfy couches. They had to walk everywhere, chase wild animals for food, and squat, twist, and bend much more than any of us do today. But to Dr. Wallace's surprise, he discovered the exact opposite. He found that joint decay in our ancestors was just a fraction of what we see today. In fact, the vast majority of the skeletons had strong, healthy-appearing knee joints. This didn't make sense to Dr. Wallace if wear and tear really was the cause of age-related joint pain. According to Harvard professor Daniel E. Lieberman, senior author of the study, these findings prove beyond doubt that while joint pain does become more common as we age, it's not caused by wear and tear. Other experts agreed. Your joints are not like your automobile tires that wear out as you use them, commented renowned rheumatologist Dr. Richard Leeser. So the question was, if the telltale signs of age-related joint pain such as cartilage breakdown and inflammation are not caused by natural wear and tear, what does cause it? That's exactly what I wanted to find out. So alongside my research team, I spent months trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. Eventually, I stumbled onto what I firmly believe to be the real root cause of age-related joint pain, a crucial yet poorly understood molecule that has been figuratively leaking from your protective joint jello since you hit your 30s. I promise to reveal exactly what this molecule is and what your joint jello is in just a second. First, let me explain how your joints are supposed to work so you understand what's going on. As you know, the joint is where two or more bones meet, like your knee, for example. On the end of each bone, you have a thin layer of rubber-like cartilage, which prevents these bones from grinding against each other when you move the joint so you don't feel pain and stiffness. And this is why, in my opinion, decades of conventional joint health advice has mistakenly focused on the cartilage, because between those pieces of cartilage lies something even more important, your joint cavity. It's not a great name for it because it's not empty. It's actually filled with something called synovial fluid. This is the joint jello I mentioned earlier. As Dr. Oliver Promtis explains, much of the research over the past 20 or 30 years has focused on cartilage as the target. But we're beginning to realize that there are important changes happening in the joint lining itself, the synovium. In fact, more and more research now shows that this thick, gloopy synovial fluid is the real secret to joint health. First, it coats and lubricates your cartilage tissue, enabling each piece of cartilage to slide over the other comfortably when you move the joint, just like WD-40 works on a door hinge. And because this fluid is thick like jello, it acts like a shock absorber or cushion between the two pieces of cartilage, giving each joint a healthy, bouncy quality that makes movement comfortable. Second, because cartilage has no blood supply, it relies on your joint jello to keep it nourished and healthy by supplying it with precious oxygen and nutrients. And third, your joint jello serves as a protective bubble, shielding your cartilage from inflammatory proteins called cytokines, which would otherwise attack and break down cartilage tissue and bone. Of course, when you're young, this process works smoothly. The problem is when you hit your 30s, you begin to produce less of a critical molecule that keeps your joint jello healthy, which causes this naturally thick fluid to thin and dry out and lose its joint protecting qualities. This molecule is called hyaluronan. Its main role is to absorb water so it can give your synovial fluid its thick, lubricating, and jello-like quality. And it's amazing at doing it. Each hyaluronan molecule can absorb up to 1,000 times its own weight in water. Hyaluronan is now deemed so important that world-leading joint health expert Dr. J.R. Levick of St. George's Hospital Medical School of University of London has dubbed it the guardian of the joints and a key arthroprotective agent. This view has now been supported by a breakthrough study published in the Nutrition Journal, which found that people with age-related joint decay have, and I quote, diminished hyaluronan concentrations in their synovial fluid. So why do we lose hyaluronan? For many years, this question puzzled scientists and researchers, but new research has finally revealed the answer. Simply put, as we age, an enzyme attacks and gradually breaks down the hyaluronan molecules in our synovial fluid or joint jello. According to a study published in the esteemed medical journal Arthritis Research and Therapy, we lose at least 2% of our hyaluronan stores per year after the age of 40, or 20% per decade. That means if you're 60, the chances are you've already lost at least 40% of this precious molecule from your joints. If you're 70, you've lost 60%. If you're 80, you've lost at least 80%. Worse still, environmental pollution accelerates hyaluronan breakdown, which means people today are likely losing their hyaluronan stores faster than that. And this has a devastating effect on joint function in 3 distinct ways. Like I mentioned, without adequate hyaluronan, your jello-like synovial fluid begins to thin and dry out, bringing the two pieces of cartilage closer together. This means each piece of cartilage begins to rub and grind against the other, and pieces break away. With less lubrication and cushioning, your joints start to feel stiff and painful, and it becomes more and more difficult to move freely, just like an old, creaky door hinge. Second, as your joint jello thins and dries out, your cartilage becomes starved of vital oxygen and nutrients, which results in cell death and accelerated cartilage breakdown. And third, your joint jello can no longer protect your joints from those nasty inflammatory cytokines, which are now free to storm into the joint space and break down your cartilage further, leading to widespread inflammation and increased pain and discomfort. Of course, as the years pass and more hyaluronan is lost, your joint jello becomes thinner and drier, and your starving, dehydrated cartilage crumbles like a sandcastle in the wind, eventually leading to joints so stiff and swollen you can barely move, coupled with an agonizing bone-on-bone grinding that makes life a misery. And if you carry on ignoring this loss of hyaluronan, the pain and discomfort you're feeling right now will only get worse until you break this cycle of destruction. And that's what I'm going to help you do in just a second by showing you a quick and simple way to support and replenish your lost hyaluronan stores. The benefits of doing this can be life-changing because if you've seen, your joints need hyaluronan like your lungs need oxygen. This simple solution, which is now being used by thousands of men and women all over the country with remarkable success, quickly gets to work to support and thicken up your synovial fluid and return it to its thick, bouncy, jello-like state. This means you're able to refresh the cushioning between the two pieces of cartilage and properly lubricate your dehydrated cartilage tissue so your joints can slide and bounce smoothly again, enabling you to move more freely. And like I said, thickening up your joint jello also helps to nourish your starving cartilage with the oxygen and nutrients needed to support repair. And finally, to restore the protective bubble around the joint, which recent studies show blunts the inflammatory cascade because these cytokines are no longer able to freely enter the joint space and cause more damage, all of which results in less pain, greater comfort, flexibility, mobility, and a happier, more active life. And if you still need convincing, answer me this. Which joints are causing you problems right now? I'm thinking it's your knees, hips, ankles, shoulders, spine, elbows, wrists, fingers, right? Guess what? These are all called synovial joints. In other words, they all rely on synovial fluid or joint jello to function properly. Therefore, they cannot do their job without a healthy supply of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints and the key arthroprotective agent. This discovery finally explained to me why glucosamine and chondroitin did not work for Sarah or anybody else. Because taking these ingredients to support your cartilage and ease your joint pain is like changing the tires and fixing the radiator on your car, yet not bothering to add any engine oil. If your engine has no oil, nothing else you do will make a difference. Your car will start to grind, seize up, and eventually refuse to move. And I bet you know that exact feeling, right? But as you've seen, hyaluronan is much more than engine oil for your joints. It's the actual engine itself. And that's why you can't be without it any longer. Knowing all this, I couldn't help but wonder why those ancient skeletons I talked about earlier showed so few signs of joint decay. And the answer is simple. Most hunter-gatherers barely made it to age 30, which means they died long before their joints began to lose enough hyaluronan to cause a problem. However, today, most people comfortably make it into their 50s, which is when most joint problems begin. And of course, more and more people now live into their 70s, 80s, and 90s, which means they've been losing their hyaluronan stores for more than half their lives. Add to that, environmental pollution is higher today than ever before, which further accelerates hyaluronan loss. So you see, when I discovered this, it all finally made sense. Yes, joint pain is due to cartilage breakdown and subsequent inflammation, just as you've probably been told. However, the root cause of the problem is not wear and tear. Instead, it's rapidly depleting levels of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints, also known as your key arthroprotective agent. And until you correct this deficiency, you don't stand a chance of relieving your pain or improving your joint function. So back to Sarah's story. Once I'd finally pinpointed what I firmly believed to be the root cause of Sarah's joint pain, the next step was to find a good source of hyaluronan. I started with the quickest and easiest way I knew: food. But this proved difficult. Despite some exhaustive research, I was unable to find any foods with sufficient levels of hyaluronan. I felt like I'd come so far only to hit a brick wall. But then I got the stroke of luck I needed, which finally helped everything fall into place. Late one night, I happened to come across an ABC News story about a tiny and remote village in the mountains of Japan called Yuzurihara. According to the report, these Japanese seniors were still farming their fields, plowing their vegetable gardens, and making full use of their joints long into old age. Yet they had no joint pain at all. They weren't stiff, they weren't aching. In fact, they were showing no signs of age-related joint problems whatsoever. And it's because their diet consisted of a purple sweet potato called the satsumayamo, a local vegetable that has been shown to boost the body's natural production of hyaluronan and thicken up their joint jello. The good news was, I discovered these potatoes were now available in specialty markets right here in the US. The bad news was the amount Sarah would have to eat. We're talking 3 or 4 of them every single day for many months, or she'd have any chance of feeling any effect. That obviously was not practical. Figured there had to be an easier way. After scouring hundreds of medical journals, I found dozens of randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled studies. The gold standard of clinical trials had recently been carried on in hyaluronan and oral supplementation. And the results were incredible. Trials in America, Europe, and Asia all reported that oral supplementation of hyaluronan produced significant and even drastic improvement in pain, joint comfort, stiffness, swelling, inflammation, muscle strength, flexibility, mobility, and quality of life. Participants in the trials were literally throwing away their pain meds because they no longer needed them. This was hugely exciting and confirmed everything I'd discovered. But there was a problem. It took a long time to work. Typically, it was many, many months before the study participants reported the kind of noticeable improvements that made a real difference. I knew that was too long for Sarah and the millions of Americans still living under the black cloud of joint pain. The question facing me now was, is there a way to speed things up? The answer came from Barcelona, Spain, and an advanced and patented ingredient called Mobility. After being rigorously tested in 14 randomized, placebo-controlled, and double-blind clinical studies, again, the gold standard of clinical trials, an 80 milligram dosage of Mobility has been shown to multiply hyaluronan levels in the joints by a factor of 10. That's a 1,000% increase of hyaluronan in your synovial fluid with each dose. And this is where things get really exciting. In one of those trials, published in the medical journal Clinical Nutrition Supplements, participants suffering from age-related joint pain were asked to supplement with 80 milligrams of Mobility every day for a period of 6 months. The scientists performing the study were thrilled to find that not only did these people report rapid improvements in pain relief and joint comfort as early as month 1, but more importantly, their levels of pain and discomfort decreased month after month and continued to steadily decrease for the entire 6-month study. In other words, the results got better and better the longer the study went on. Added to that, there was a significant reduction in swelling in month 1, which again continued to reduce as the 6-month trial continued. These results were repeated in other published clinical studies where supplementing with 80 milligrams of Mobility each day resulted in not only dramatic improvements in joint pain and swelling, but also physical function, flexion and extension, muscle aches, muscular strength, and quality of life. With the discovery of Mobility, I knew we finally had something truly special, which, instead of targeting the symptoms of joint pain with side effect-ridden pills or outdated ingredients like glucosamine and chondroitin, actually winds back the clock to the very beginning and targets the origin of the problem, the loss of hyaluronan as you age, which causes your protective synovial fluid or joint jello to thin and dry out, all of which results in the breakdown of cartilage tissue and inflammation of the joint. With that in mind, the name for this breakthrough formula was obvious. Today, I'm very proud to introduce you to Joint Genesis. This advanced, science-backed solution is the first of its kind because it finally addresses the origins of age-related joint decay, the loss of hyaluronan as you get older, so you can once again lubricate and cushion those dehydrated and stiff joints, properly nourish your cartilage tissue, and slam the brakes on painful inflammation, so you can enjoy a new beginning and start living life with a spring in your step and a smile on your face again. And all you need to do is swallow one small capsule with a glass of water each morning, which in my experience takes no more than a few seconds. That's not all. At Biodynamics, we demand the very best, so we did not stop at Mobility, because although Mobility works wonders for your joints on its own, I discovered that its joint protecting power is strengthened hugely when you combine it with another rare and expensive ingredient. And this is where Joint Genesis truly shines and real life-changing improvements can be felt. This rare ingredient is the bark of a French maritime pine tree. This super antioxidant is one of the world's most powerful ingredients, for soothing inflammation. In fact, it's been shown in multiple studies to slash inflammation and resulting joint pain, decrease stiffness and swelling, improve physical function, and dramatically reduce the need for pain pills. And does it fast, making French maritime pine bark the perfect complement to Mobilee. The reason they work so well together was outlined in a landmark study published in the medical journal Nutrients. In the study, the scientists found that the powerful antioxidants in French maritime pine bark are distributed directly into the synovial fluid or joint jello, helping to fight off those inflammatory cytokines even faster, meaning you can expect to enjoy greater pain relief sooner. And please keep in mind that this combination of Mobilee and French maritime pine bark is completely unique. In other words, it can only be found in Joint Genesis. To round off the formula and help ensure the strongest and fastest possible results, I also included 3 more powerful ingredients. Ginger root, a potent antioxidant known to soothe inflammation and reduce joint pain. Boswellia serrata, an extract derived from the bark of the Boswellia tree, proven in countless studies to reduce inflammation and joint pain, and which, according to a study published in the medical journal Phytomedicine, is even more effective when combined with French maritime pine bark. And finally, bioperine, another cutting-edge and patented extract obtained from black pepper fruits which, as well as soothing inflammation, helps enhance the absorption of the other ingredients in the formula for even stronger results. As a result, this unique and powerful blend of ingredients includes everything you need to slam the brakes on joint pain, enjoy smooth, comfortable movement, and delight in the renewed flexibility of your youth. And I can say that with complete confidence because while we already knew this unique blend had the power to transform lives, we wanted undeniable proof. So the team at Biodynamics reached out for volunteers willing to put Joint Genesis to the test in a 6-month trial. The response was overwhelming. In total, we selected 189 seniors, all struggling with severe joint pain and limited mobility, many relying on opioid pain meds just to get through the day. What happened next exceeded even our highest expectations. Men and women who'd spent years, even decades, battling relentless pain, discomfort, and mobility issues were stunned, many reduced to tears by the rapid and profound turnaround in their pain levels, joint function, and joint comfort. In fact, an unprecedented 100% of participants reported either significant or life-changing improvement by the end of the trial. And the stories they shared were truly heartwarming. They told us how, for the first time in years, they felt free to live their lives again. They were reconnecting with spouses and partners because pain was no longer casting a shadow over their days. Parents and grandparents were fully engaging with their families again, playing, laughing, and creating memories, rather than watching from the sidelines, or worse, avoiding time with their loved ones altogether. They were joyfully returning to their old passions, like hobbies and activities they'd been forced to abandon years before. Social gatherings and trips away became fun and exciting instead of something to dread, because they were no longer held back by pain or relying on medication just to function. Incredibly, the turnaround was so dramatic that 94% of participants stated that they no longer needed their pain meds at all. But the overwhelming feedback I received was that this wasn't just about physical relief. It was about reclaiming the happiness, freedom, and the vibrant life they thought they'd lost forever. And you can reclaim that life too. Just imagine how good it would feel to bounce out of bed each morning and sprint down the stairs without feeling an agonizing jolt with every step. Because your knees and hips are properly cushioned and lubricated, imagine grabbing a shirt or pants and buttoning them up with the supple wrists and flexible fingers of a 20-year-old. To comfortably sit cross-legged on the floor with your grandkids while you happily play board games with them or kneel down on the ground to tend to the roses without fearing that you might get stuck down there, frozen in pain. More than that, Joint Genesis will finally allow you to reach a level of joint comfort that helps you strengthen personal relationships. First, with your friends and loved ones because you're no longer in agony or being looked upon as old and fragile. Second, with yourself, because you can finally reclaim your confidence, freedom, and independence and live life on your terms. Just like the fortunate men and women who put Joint Genesis to the test in our clinical trial and experienced extraordinary results.
Since taking Genesis, I am actually able now to go up the stairs. Coming down is getting a little bit easier. That was a challenge too, but literally to be going up and down stairs again is remarkable.
Since taking Joint Genesis, I have no pain at all in my neck or my hands or my elbows, and I can move my neck a lot more freely, and I ride a motorcycle, so that makes a huge amount of difference.
I can do farm chores now, can lift things, I can use my third finger and my thumb on my right side. I'm 74, so, I was thinking, oh boy, it's going to be harder and harder to do chores. But now I'm enjoying it. I'm getting better each day, and I can tell the difference because the speed of my fingers getting my chores done is much, much quicker.
I'm guessing you're excited to get your hands on a supply of Joint Genesis today. And you should be, because this opportunity might not stick around. First, because the pharmaceutical giants are doing everything they can to suppress this information. So I don't know how much longer I can keep this presentation online. The pain management drugs market alone is valued at $78 billion. That's a huge cash cow that big pharma are determined to keep milking. Second, there's the issue of ingredient availability. Remember, Mobilee is a patented ingredient that's always in high demand and difficult to source due to its unique ability to multiply hyaluronan levels in the joints by 1,000% with each dose. Not to mention the fact that we ship it all the way to our US headquarters from Barcelona, Spain. And then there's the other 4 essential ingredients in the formula, including French maritime pine bark extract, which works in tandem with Mobilee to soothe inflammation and pain faster and give you even stronger results. But like Mobilee can also be challenging to source because it's found only on the coast of southwest France. Of course, we bought bulk quantities of these ingredients for this latest batch of Joint Genesis. But to tell you the truth, the flood of orders that came in truly blindsided us. For these reasons and more, I encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity while it's still available, so you don't miss out on this potentially life-changing transformation in your joint health and quality of life. So with all that said, I understand that price might be a concern for you right now. Well, let me ask you this. How much is fast and long-term joint relief really worth to you? How much value do you put on waking up in the morning with strong, flexible, mobile joints where you can skip through your day in complete comfort? Can you really put a price tag on youthful joints and the freedom, independence, and opportunity that comes with it? To be able to return to the hobbies and activities that used to bring you so much joy before joint pain stole them from you. To put the spark back in your relationship because you're no longer in agony, and look to the future with hope, excitement, and thoughts of what you can do instead of what you can't do. Tell me, how much is all that worth to you? Whatever figure you have in mind, you know as well as I do that taking action today and investing in yourself and your long-term joint health will be one of the best investments you could ever make. On the other hand, by doing nothing, you'll inevitably be forced to spend hundreds and possibly even thousands of dollars over the next few years on Band-Aid solutions that don't and can't address the root cause. I'm talking about pain meds that can damage your stomach, hearing, and kidneys and skyrocket your risk of heart attacks and stroke, or risky joint replacement surgery that mounting evidence shows that may not even work. In fact, in a study of almost 4,500 people who had knee replacement surgery, researchers were shocked to discover that after 9 years, the procedure was found to have had only minimal effects on quality of life. And the reason is obvious. None of these things address the real root cause of age-related joint pain, the draining away of hyaluronan, the guardian of your joints, and your key arthroprotective agent, which means they can't combat the thinning and drying out of your synovial fluid or joint jello. But let's put the future aside for a moment and just focus on the immediate costs. What if you decide to go it alone and concoct your own blend? Well, even if you were somehow able to source all of these rare ingredients yourself, it's important to tell you that a 30-day batch will set you back roughly $350. So it would be reasonable to price one bottle at around double that, at least, given the capsules offer you the complete formula and eliminate all the hassle of pinpointing the purest doses yourself. But here's the good news. Thanks to today's new customer special offer, which is only available to the first 250 people, one bottle of Joint Genesis won't set you back $700. In fact, you won't even have to pay that amount for 6 bottles. That's right. A 6-month supply of Joint Genesis won't cost you $700 today, or even $500. It won't even cost you $300. Take a look below. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, maybe even shocked, at the extremely generous discounts we've arranged for you today. Why have we done this? As you've probably realized, my motivation throughout this journey was never financial. My goal was always to help my friend Sarah get back to her best life, and now I want to help you do the same. I want you to be able to move comfortably and freely, to feel happy and confident in your own body again, and to be the best mother, father, wife, husband, grandmother, or grandfather you can be, because that's what really matters in life. So I am determined to offer the lowest possible prices right now to ensure that you and anyone else who needs help gets that opportunity, particularly during this early phase while we're introducing ourselves to customers. And of course, I'd much rather see you keep as much of your hard-earned money as possible rather than hand it over to the profit-hungry pharmaceutical giants for the rest of your life. All of these reasons is why we're offering the first 250 customers the chance to pick up a supply of Joint Genesis at a huge discount. Another reason we're offering the lowest possible prices right now is because we'd also like to gather positive reviews and see our excited customers share their results on social media. This will enable us to spread the word even more and help more people. And that brings me to another important point. Due to the cutting-edge nature of this formula and its unique ability to target the newly discovered root cause of age-related joint pain, Joint Genesis is producing remarkable results, and because of that, this presentation is now being shared all over the internet, which means these 250 heavily discounted spots are disappearing fast. So I urge you to act now, because if you wait too long, not only will you lose out on the special introductory discounts and be forced to pay the regular price instead, but you could be waiting a long time to do so. As I've explained, ingredient availability is always a problem. Even at the best of times, our manufacturing facility takes 2 to 3 months to source and produce a single batch of Joint Genesis. So I recommend you order your supply now while you can, and take advantage of these special introductory prices before this offer disappears. And in particular, our heavily discounted 3 and 6 month options. First, because you'll save more money. But more importantly, stocking up on a larger supply of Joint Genesis will help ensure you achieve real, long-lasting results. And that's what we want. Remember, in that clinical study published in the medical journal Clinical Nutrition Supplements, the participants took 80 milligrams of Mobility every day for 6 months. And the relief they felt not only happened fast, but kept on improving month after month for the entire 6-month trial. And the exact same thing happened in the other Mobility trials too, as well as French maritime pine bark, where countless studies have shown that continuous use results in continuous improvements in joint comfort and joint function. So it's clear to see that the longer you take Joint Genesis, the more effective it becomes. And that's why most new customers are selecting the heavily discounted 6-bottle option. In short, while a 1-month starter supply will return crucial hyaluronan molecules to your synovial fluid and get you on the path to healthier joint function, a 3-month supply will provide the support you need to really thicken up that fluid, increase its lubricating and cushioning quality, and of course, nourish the cartilage and soothe inflammation so you can enjoy smoother, more flexible movement. And finally, a 6-month supply will help your synovial fluid return to its thick, bouncy, and fully protective jello-like state so your joints can function properly for years to come, which allows you to enjoy a full and active life again. That's why I personally recommend that you stock up now while you can so you can enjoy great results for the long haul. And I really can't stress that enough, because stocking up today isn't just going to be great news for your joint health, it's going to save you heaps of money in the long term. The truth is, at these introductory prices, we're just about managing to break even, so we won't be extending these discounts beyond the first 250 people. We can't afford to. After all, unlike many other companies, we refuse to cut corners. We only use the finest quality, clinically backed ingredients, and despite the costs, we're committed to sparing no expense on the manufacturing process either. Joint Genesis is meticulously produced following current good manufacturing practices in our state-of-the-art, climate-controlled, and FDA-inspected facility right here in the USA. This guarantees the strictest standards in terms of quality control to ensure only the finest, purest ingredients and the exact dosages listed on the bottle. and a formula for all that's vegetarian and vegan friendly and free from gluten, dairy, nuts, soy, egg, crustaceans, and of course, nasty BPAs and GMOs. It's an expensive process with many steps, but here at Biodynamics, we will not settle for second best. Then you need to factor in our customer service team ready to help you with your orders and the fact that we're currently offering free shipping. Yep, you heard that right. For a strictly limited period, we're absorbing the shipping cost to the US when you order the larger package. And that's another reason why I recommend selecting that package today, because this free shipping offer definitely won't last long. We simply can't afford to keep it running. So choose your savings below and we'll rush your order to you right away. And here's something else you're going to love. Whichever package you invest in today, your order is covered by our industry-leading 6-month empty bottle money-back guarantee. You see, we understand that some people will be on the fence even after they've seen the huge limited time discounts below. So I'm going to take all the risk off your shoulders and put it on my own. Whether you decide to save money on 1 bottle, 3 bottles, or 6 bottles of Joint Genesis, we're going to give you a whole 6 months to enjoy the results for yourself and then decide. That's right. We are so confident that you'll be head over heels thrilled with the results you get that we're giving you a full 6 months to try it for yourself completely risk-free. If you change your mind for any reason at all, simply contact our friendly customer support team via phone or email, and we will refund 100% of the purchase price, no questions asked. Our contact details will be on the packaging. Even better, we'll refund your money even if you've used up every last capsule. Yep, you get your money back even if all your bottles are empty. We can't make it much fairer than that, right? So one way of looking at it is that it's not a payment at all. It's more like a refundable deposit. You're welcome to take advantage of our empty bottle money-back guarantee and claim a refund at any time over the next 6 months. But based on emails I receive nearly every day, I think it's much more likely you'll want to send me an email sharing your incredible results, just like these happy people and many more like them. Also, let me assure you that this is a one-time payment. There are no subscriptions or hidden charges, and you don't need to worry about the ordering process either. When you select your savings, you'll be sent through to our secure ordering page, which uses 256-bit encryption technology, the same technology used by Amazon and the world's biggest banks. So you can be completely confident that your information is 100% safe and secure. So go ahead and select your savings from the options below, completely risk-free for a whole 6 months, regardless of the package you choose. And start enjoying the same life-changing transformation that these happy men and women have already enjoyed after finding this presentation before you and claiming their own supply. Our warehouse team is ready and waiting to package up your order and send it your way. Also, it's important to note that every bottle of Joint Genesis has a 2-year shelf life. So together with our 6-month empty bottle money-back guarantee, there's absolutely no risk in stocking up today. Now, at this point in our conversation, I imagine you're ready to jump on this opportunity. Claim your savings before this batch of Joint Genesis runs out and make the smartest decision you can make today. But before you do, I'm going to make this deal even sweeter for you. As you can see, when you order a 3 or 6 month supply of Joint Genesis today, you'll also receive a special bonus package absolutely free. These specially created digital bonuses are designed to help you enjoy even faster and stronger improvements in your joint function. And they also allow you to get a head start while you wait for your Joint Genesis order to arrive. Bonus number 1 is called 17 Joint Supporting Smoothies. These delicious smoothie recipes contain easy-to-source and science-backed ingredients, proven to calm joint inflammation, giving you faster and more noticeable relief. They take just a few minutes to prepare and taste great, making them a great option for a quick breakfast or afternoon snack. And let's be clear, drinking these smoothies isn't something you have to do. But if you'd like to accelerate the transformation in your joint health, this is the easiest way to do it. You can even take Joint Genesis with one of these smoothies each morning. Added to that, we'll also send you a second bonus called Youthful Joints for Life when you order a 3 or 6 month supply. This step-by-step guide provides a proven path to healthy joint function, whatever your age, via simple yet powerful habits you can adopt from the comfort of your own home. When you combine Joint Genesis with these digital bonus gifts, you will have everything you need to start enjoying healthy, comfortable, and flexible joints again, and maintain those results for as long as you want. Okay, So the way I see it, you really only have two options right now. The first option is that you ignore everything you've just seen and heard from me. All the science and rock-solid data that shows you exactly why Joint Genesis works so well and how it's improving the lives of so many people all over the country. You can continue to waste money on outdated joint formulas that don't work and never did, or continue playing Russian roulette with your health by popping pain pills that could damage your stomach, kidneys, heart, hearing, and more. Yet do nothing to address the real root cause of your joint pain, which means it will continue to get worse. And you can accept the inevitable, that your dehydrated, starving cartilage will continue to crumble away, leading to agonizing bone-on-bone grinding that keeps you locked up in a joint pain prison and makes life a misery. Sure, you can bury your head in the sand and pretend that none of that will happen. But as you already know, every day that passes, your synovial fluid, or joint jello, is losing more and more of the very thing that makes it function. It's like a leaking boiler that never gets fixed. Its ability to do its job and protect your joints is disappearing steadily. And because of the toxic world in which we now live, this loss is accelerating like never before. So do you really want to sit back, do nothing, and allow that destructive process to continue and suffer the inevitable increase in pain and discomfort, where the world you live in starts to become smaller with every passing week, where you lose contact with friends and family because making the journey is just too difficult, and you become a burden to your loved ones, always in need of help and viewed as weak, old, and fragile? I don't want you to feel like that, and I know it's not what you want either, which is why I'm presenting you with option number 2 today, the SMART option. The opportunity to finally break free from the joint pain prison with a truly unique and groundbreaking formula backed by science that promises to deliver not only rapid relief, but real long-term improvement in joint function. And remember, you have the chance to try it yourself completely risk-free for 6 whole months, meaning there's absolutely zero risk to you. If you decide to take up option 2, and I hope you do for your sake, then one day very soon from now, you could find yourself waking up in the morning having slept like a baby because your joints are no longer so stiff and sore that they keep you up at night. You'll swing your legs out of bed and find that you can rotate your hips with ease. You'll notice that you can bend your knees comfortably and tend to the flowers in your backyard and then snap back up again with barely a twinge, while your fingers tap out messages on your cell phone with the speed and agility of a teenager. Life is going to be different now, and you'll be filled with excitement and possibilities for the future. I have a term for that exact day. I call it Independence Day. I know it sounds corny, but that's the day when you realize that the oppressive force that's been holding you back, dominating your every waking moment and preventing you from being free, has finally been defeated. I call it Independence Day because that's what Sarah called it. Remember Sarah? After trying Joint Genesis herself, she called me up and told me all about her own personal Independence Day, and she burst into tears over the phone. However, unlike the last time we spoke, these weren't tears of sadness brought on by years of pain and frustration. They were tears of joy, tears of relief and of newfound hope for the future. Her fingers weren't locked tightly together anymore, meaning she could return to her passion of baking and decorating wedding cakes. And she ran up the stairs, bouncing off each step like a coiled spring, all because her knees and hips were lubricated, cushioned, and nourished for the first time in years. That day marked a new beginning for Sarah. And you can have that same day too, that feeling of independence and freedom. Wouldn't that be incredible, to reach that place where you're finally free from joint pain and the worries and frustrations that come with it? Imagine what you would do, how you'd celebrate. Now, hold on to that feeling, because that's the kind of future Joint Genesis can deliver. Thousands of Americans are now experiencing those joyous feelings for themselves and embarking on a new beginning free from joint pain. This is your chance to join them, to join the biodynamics family and transform your joint health in your future. So make the right decision. Make the only decision you can make, both for yourself and your family. Select your supply below. Take advantage of these limited time introductory discounts before these 250 spots are gone, and start enjoying your own joint health revival completely risk-free for a full 6 months. I'm Dr. Mark Wise. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to hearing your success story very soon. Still here? No problem. If you're still here, that tells me 2 things. 1, you understand how crucial proper joint function is to your health and happiness. And 2, you still have a few questions. And it's perfectly fine to have questions. I'm glad you do. So to help you feel comfortable, here are the answers to a few of the most common questions we receive about joint genesis. How do I know joint genesis will work for me? Okay, while your level of joint pain may be slightly different to others, the likely cause is the same, which is the loss of hyaluronan molecules from your synovial fluid or joint jello as you age. As you've seen, this loss of hyaluronan thins and dries out your synovial fluid, meaning your cartilage loses its natural cushioning, becomes dehydrated, and is starved of vital oxygen and nutrients. This results in cell death and cartilage breakdown, followed by inflammation of the joint. The key ingredient in joint genesis, Mobilee, works by quickly replenishing your synovial fluid with hyaluronan. This helps to lubricate and cushion the joint, nourish the cartilage tissue, and slam the brakes on inflammation. Again, in clinical studies, 80 milligrams of Mobilee resulted in rapid pain relief, which kept improving each and every month for the entire 6-month trial, as well as producing significant improvements in physical function, flexion and extension, muscle aches, muscular strength, and quality of life. Crucially, joint genesis also includes French maritime pine bark. This super antioxidant is one of the world's most powerful anti-inflammatories. It's been shown in multiple studies to soothe inflammation and joint pain, reduce stiffness and swelling, improve joint function, and reduce the need for pain pills. What's more, French maritime pine bark is the perfect complement to Mobilee because the antioxidants have been shown to distribute directly into your synovial fluid or joint jello, helping to soothe inflammation faster, resulting in stronger and more rapid pain relief. I've tried other joint health supplements in the past. Why haven't they worked for me? Most other joint supplements don't contain hyaluronan, and they certainly won't have it in its patented form, Mobilee, which means they never get to the root of the problem. Neither do they contain the unique combination of Mobilee and French maritime pine bark, which helps to further accelerate pain relief and support healthy joint function. Is my order protected by a money-back guarantee? Absolutely. We're so confident in our product that Biodynamics offers one of the most generous guarantees in the industry. Regardless of the package you choose today, you are protected by our 6-month money-back, empty bottle guarantee. This means that if for any reason you do not experience life-changing results, or you simply change your mind for any reason, we will issue you a 100% no questions asked refund, and we will refund every penny, even if all the bottles are all empty. How many bottles should I order? To help you stock up and save more money, we've created a special bundle plan consisting of 3- and 6-month packages to go alongside the standard 1-month offer. This is because clinical studies of our key ingredients, together with the experiences of our customers, demonstrate that the longer you take joint genesis, the more effective it becomes. That's why I personally recommend you stock up on the 3- or 6-month option while this special offer is running. This will help ensure there's no break in your progress, so you can enjoy the best possible long-term results. And don't forget that our 2-year shelf life means there's no risk in stocking up. How long will it take to receive my order? Your order will be shipped out right away and will arrive at your door within 5 to 7 business days for U.S. customers. Orders placed outside the U.S. may take up to 2 weeks to arrive. How do I know I can trust joint genesis? Earlier in this presentation, I shared with you all the safety standards that Biodynamics adheres to when manufacturing joint genesis. That's to make sure that what you see on the label is exactly what's in the bottle. Unlike many other manufacturers, our US-based facility is regularly audited by the FDA and adheres to current good manufacturing practices, which guarantees that each ingredient that goes into joint genesis is rigorously tested for purity and potency and to ensure against toxins and contaminants. So the best advice I can give you is to take up this special offer and put joint genesis to the test with our 6-month empty bottle money-back guarantee. If you change your mind for any reason, simply contact our friendly customer support team for a full and prompt refund, even if all the bottles are empty. That means you've got nothing to lose or risk by trying out joint genesis today and a brighter, happier future to gain. Go ahead and select from one of the heavily discounted packages below, and I'll see you on the next page.